He always said he loved his job. Brandon worked in sales at a mid-sized logistics company in Nashville, and he used to joke that he could sell sand in the desert. When we met, he had this confident smirk, the kind that made people believe him before he even finished talking. We were introduced through a mutual friend at a friend's wedding, and 2 weeks later, we were inseparable. I fell hard, the kind of love where you cancel plans just to spend another evening watching TV on the couch together. We did all the classic couple stuff, weekend trips, late-night milkshake runs, even got a dog together, a golden retriever named Riley. By month 6, I honestly believed this was it. I mean, he wasn't perfect. Brandon had a busy schedule, sure. A lot of client dinners, lots of late nights at the office, but I never questioned it. Not at first. That started to change the night of our anniversary. We'd planned to go out. He made a reservation at this fancy Italian place I'd been hinting at for months. I wore a black dress I bought just for the occasion, but at 5:48 p.m. I got a text. "Babe, I'm so sorry. Huge deal came through. I have to stay. I'll make it up to you. Promise." And I believed him. I always did. Instead, I stayed in with Riley, eating takeout and watching When Harry Met Sally on the couch in a dress that suddenly felt ridiculous. I didn't cry. Not that night. I just told myself this was what it meant to love someone ambitious. Sacrifices, support, patience. But then it started happening more often. One late night turned into 3, then 4. Then he started coming home later, sometimes after midnight, smelling faintly of cologne I didn't recognize, saying things like, "Client drinks ran long," or "Got stuck reviewing numbers with Greg." Once, I asked who Greg was. He paused. "New guy. You haven't met him." It was small, but it stayed in my mind like a pebble in a shoe. Then came the voicemail. One Thursday night, he left his phone charging on the nightstand and went to walk Riley. His work line buzzed, a number I didn't recognize, but I didn't answer. A minute later, a voicemail popped up. I shouldn't have listened to it. I know that. But I did. Her voice was soft, familiar in a way that made my skin crawl. "Hey, I know you said you'd be late, but I made your favorite. I just miss you, that's all. Hope she's still buying The Office Story. Call me when you're free." I dropped the phone. I think part of me knew before I heard the whole message. I just didn't want to believe it. When Brandon came back inside, I watched him take off his jacket, ruffle Riley's ears, and kiss me on the cheek like nothing had happened. Like I wasn't falling apart from the inside out. I didn't say anything. Not that night. Not yet. But the way I looked at him changed. The warmth was gone. Every working late after that was a puzzle I started trying to solve in silence, because now I needed proof. I needed the truth. His real schedule, his real life. The man I thought I knew was becoming a stranger, and I was about to find out just how far the lie went. I didn't sleep that night. While Brandon snored beside me, peacefully unaware, I stared at the ceiling in the dark. Every word of that voicemail looped through my head like a recording I couldn't shut off. Hope she's still buying The Office Story. She knew about me. That was the part that stung the most. This wasn't some clueless girl who'd been duped. She knew he was in a relationship, and she didn't care. And Brandon, he was living a double life and managing it like it was a full-time job. I couldn't call my best friend because I was embarrassed. I couldn't confront him because I didn't know everything yet. And I couldn't keep living in the fog of uncertainty. So the next morning, while he was in the shower, I grabbed his work bag. Inside was his laptop, password protected, of course. But I wasn't interested in that. I was looking for anything that could tie him to her. Receipts, hotel keys, notes, anything. Nothing. But tucked in one of the inside pockets, folded in half, was a dry cleaning slip from a place I didn't recognize. Midtown Cleaners, not near his office, not near ours. I Googled the address. It was right next to a complex of upscale apartments in East Nashville. My stomach flipped. That night, Brandon claimed he had a late team meeting about end-of-quarter numbers. He kissed me on the forehead, told me not to wait up, and headed out in the same blue dress shirt I'd seen in that dry cleaning slip. I gave him a 10-minute head start, then got in my car and drove. I didn't have a plan, just instinct and adrenaline. When I pulled into the parking lot next to the cleaners, I sat in my car watching. I told myself I'd only stay 5 minutes, just to see if he was lying. But then I saw it. His car, parked not at the cleaners but across the street, in a spot labeled resident parking only. He wasn't working. He was home, just not ours. I waited. 10 minutes passed, then 20. Then, at exactly 7:54 p.m., I saw him. Brandon, walking out of the building across the street with a woman. She had shoulder-length dark hair and wore an oversized flannel, holding a plastic bag of takeout in one hand. She laughed at something he said and leaned into him like they'd done this 1,000 times. He put his arm around her. They walked back inside. I didn't cry. Not then. I just sat there, numb, fingers clenched so tightly around the steering wheel that my knuckles went white. I stared at that building like it had personally insulted me. And the part that really destroyed me. He looked happy, not like a man juggling guilt and lies, like a man who had it all figured out. I didn't go home. I drove to my sister's and told her everything. She wanted me to call him out immediately, throw his stuff out, block him forever. And maybe I should have. But I needed more. I needed her name. I needed the final piece. The next day, I waited until Brandon left for work and searched our shared desktop. I went through saved documents, calendar invites, even scanned through photos. And in one poorly labeled folder, Kusanu accounts, I found a screenshot of a boarding pass. Passenger, Brandon L. Carter, passenger, to Jenna McAllister, flight to Denver, 2 months ago. A trip he told me was a company retreat. I Googled her name. Her LinkedIn said she worked in marketing for a startup across town. Not his coworker, not part of his team. Definitely not a stranger. I scrolled through her social media. Private, of course, but her profile picture showed them together. Him behind her, his hand on her waist, her eyes closed, smiling. The caption? The best kind of late nights. I closed the tab and made a plan. By the time Brandon came home that night, I had already made up my mind. He walked through the door like nothing was wrong, tossed his keys in the dish by the entryway, gave Riley a few scratches behind the ears, then came over and kissed me on the top of the head. Sorry, babe. Long day. That meeting ran forever. I looked up from the couch and smiled. Everything okay? He asked, kicking off his shoes. Yeah, I said. Actually, I wanted to ask you something. He paused. Sure. I patted the cushion next to me. Sit. He gave me a weird look, but obeyed. The dog jumped up too, laying across both our laps like he could feel the tension I was trying to hide. You remember that trip to Denver? I asked, keeping my tone light. He blinked. The company thing. Yeah. Why? I tilted my head. What company was that again? He hesitated for half a beat. Just long enough. My company, Logistics Retreat. I told you. You didn't fly alone, I said, still looking at him, still calm. Your boarding pass had another name on it. Jenna McAllister. Ring a bell. I wish I could say he turned white, or gasped, or stumbled over himself, but Brandon was good. Too good. He chuckled. That's... wow. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, yeah, Jenna's just a friend. She's in marketing. She came out for the same conference, which you told me was only for your company. Silence. He scratched his jaw, looked down, then back at me. Look, I didn't tell you because I knew how it'd sound, but nothing happened. It was work. Really? I said, pulling my phone from behind the couch pillow, because her Instagram says different. I showed him the screenshot, the photo of them together, the caption, the best kind of late nights. His mouth opened, closed, and then came the turning point. Instead of denying it, he exhaled, long and slow, and leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Okay, he said. You want the truth? No, I said, standing. I want my time back, but I'll settle for the truth. He admitted it, not just about Jenna, but about everything. The dinners, the late nights, the client meetings that were actually dates, the team building trip to Miami with another woman 6 months ago, the fake calls from Greg. It wasn't one lie. It was a lifestyle. I didn't mean for it to get this far, he said. It just happened. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You accidentally cheated for 6 months? Longer, he whispered. He didn't even have the spine to lie anymore. I liked being needed, he said, voice quiet. I liked how she looked at me. And I knew you'd always be here. You're stable, dependable. You made things easy. That last part? That's the one that broke me. I was never a person to him. I was a safety net, a guarantee, the soft place to land while he chased whatever made him feel important. I picked up my keys. I'll be back tomorrow for the rest of my stuff. He stood quickly. Wait, come on, you're really just walking out? After everything? Yes, I said. Exactly because of everything. He reached out to grab my arm and I stepped back. Don't, I warned. Don't touch me, and don't try to make this about us. You did this. You chose her. Her. And God knows who else. You don't get to cry now. He looked like he might, but I was already out the door. I stayed at my sister's again. The next day, I came back to grab the rest of my things. Brandon wasn't home. He'd left a note on the table with some half-assed apology and a line at the end that said, "I hope someday you'll understand." I tore it in half and fed it to Riley's crate bedding. Figured it might make a decent chew toy. But before I left, I did something I hadn't planned. I drove to Jenna's office. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want drama. I just needed to see her. The woman who had knowingly helped wreck my relationship. She looked just like her photos. When I introduced myself in the lobby, her face dropped. She stepped outside, away from the reception desk. "Look," she said. "I didn't know he was still with you." "That's a lie," I said. "I heard your voicemail. You knew." Her expression shifted, guilt, then defiance. "He told me you were on the way out, that it was complicated. It's always complicated when you're the other woman." She didn't say anything, and I realized then she didn't regret it. Not really. So I walked away. Because some things don't need a big finish. Sometimes the quiet exit is the loudest message you can send. The thing about betrayal is, it doesn't hit you all at once. It creeps in, slowly, in layers. One day you're waking up next to someone you think you know. The next, you're folding your life into a couple cardboard boxes and realizing none of it was real the way you thought it was. After confronting Jenna, I thought I'd feel better, like maybe saying the words out loud, looking her in the eye, would give me some kind of closure. It didn't. I still felt hollow, like I'd been evicted from my own life. For a while, I tried to stay angry. Anger made me feel powerful, in control, but it never lasted. Grief always followed, and not just grief for Brandon, but for the girl I used to be. So sure, so trusting, so ready to believe every excuse he handed me like it was gospel. A week after I moved out, he tried texting me. "I miss you." Then, "Can we talk?" I made a mistake. I didn't respond. Then one night, he sent a photo of Riley sleeping on the floor next to the couch. "He keeps looking for you. It's killing me." That one hurt. I missed Riley more than I missed Brandon. That dog was the only thing innocent in the whole mess. He didn't deserve to be stuck with him. So I made a decision. I filed for ownership. Brandon didn't fight it. I think he knew it was the least he could do. I got Riley back 2 weeks later. When I picked him up, Brandon didn't even come to the door. His roommate handed him off, said Brandon wasn't home. I didn't believe it. I think he just couldn't face me. I was glad. Months passed. I started going to therapy, just once a week, but it helped more than I thought it would. I talked about the little things, how I ignored the gut feelings, how I lowered the bar every time he tripped over it, how I became someone I didn't even recognize just to make it work. One day, my therapist asked me a simple question. What did you want from him that you didn't already have in yourself? I didn't have an answer then, but weeks later, I realized what it was. Certainty. I wanted someone who wouldn't make me question everything, someone who didn't make love feel like a trick mirror. That's not a tall order, it's just the bare minimum. Brandon never reached out again. I heard through a friend that he and Jenna fizzled out after a few months. Apparently she started seeing someone new. Maybe she got tired of playing second string when the lies ran dry. As for me, I didn't date for a while. I rebuilt, took solo trips, got a promotion at work, learned how to enjoy my own company again without wondering who might be lying to me behind my back. Then one day, almost a year later, I met someone. And no, this isn't some cliche where a new guy swoops in and erases the past. He didn't fix me. I wasn't broken. I was just done accepting half-truths and calling them love. He's kind. He's consistent. He shows up. He doesn't always say the perfect thing, but I never have to decode his words like a puzzle. And that, more than anything, has shown me what I was missing before. Not passion, not excitement, but peace. Brandon was the loud chapter that burned out, but peace is the quiet one I finally chose to write for myself.